Afternoon, welcome to a very wet Cannock Chase, out for a bit of impromptu woodland photography. We're just in the middle of a heavy shower at the moment, but there is bright spells in between and that adds atmosphere to the woodland pictures. It's much better than having clear blue sky days. So that's what I'm looking for today, is some nice compositions with some nice shafts of light, hopefully, if we get some clear parts through these showers. Yep, so I'm going to get ready in a minute, get the gear out, get Max, and we'll go and have a walk, see what we can find. So we're getting a few bright spells coming through, so I'm just looking round. Sometimes with woodland photography though, it's hard to see the wood through the trees. In other words, it's hard to pick out what'll look nice in a photo, nice composition, because there's just that much that catches your eye all at once. But the more you do it, I suppose, the more practice you get, then the better you're trying your eye on looking for these little things. Apart from that anyway, days like today, where you've got it's wet like it is, it helps to saturate all the colours. Come across an interesting area here now, to show you. This looks promising. There's plenty of opportunity to isolate trees from the background, because they're not too densely packed, so might have a look at this later. Got a few hours before sunset, so we'll there's a promising one there by the look of it. Right, we'll continue on, see what we can find. I spotted them on the way back to the van. We'll grab them later if we get nothing else. It's always good to get out. I just think I found a nice composition here. I'll show you what it is. Thinking something like that. Got a nice path there leading the ice straight through the scene to the back. And I'm not sure how much of this tree I'm going to put in yet. That looks a bit untidy. That might tidy it up, but I'm going to have to drop down to try and get rid of some of my way. I might include that pool actually. Yeah, right, so I'm going to uncover the camera, frame this up and get this shot. Right, while I'm waiting for some light to come back on that scene, it's not raining at the moment, it's overcast, but they're fast moving showers, and as I said before, it adds a lot of atmosphere to your woodland shots, and because it's wet, it also saturates the colours. So whilst I'm waiting, as I say, for the light on that scene, I'm just scouring around using the iPhone, trying to pick out a few more compositions, and I've found another one here, and I'll just swing round and I'll show you the composition. It's that one there. A lovely shaped tree, but I'm thinking if you zoom in something like that, I might just include the group of three there, or I may even include a few behind them just to give a little bit of context. Try and cut out as much of their highlights as possible. So that's another possibility. Just a matter of playing the long waiting game. You certainly need a bit of patience in landscape photography, something I'm not normally renowned for, but I do find it therapeutic and calming just to stand here in the woodlands, no one else around because it's a weekday, just waiting for some light to show itself, and then I can grab this composition before moving on to the one which is literally couple of yards away that I showed you earlier. Max is enjoying being out. He always does that. No, we're not camping today, Max. He always does that. He tries to find a little camp spot, I think. Sometimes he'll try and flatten the ground down. Bless him. Max is waiting patiently, bless him. But I bet he's thinking, come on, put that box away. Let's carry on with the walk. But as I say, we've got a few hours till sunset anyway, so he'll have a good walk nonetheless. Right, while we're waiting for the light, I thought this would be a good idea just to explain what's going on in the channel at the moment. Up till now, most people who've subscribed to the channel or watch my videos, they'll know it's predominantly focused around wild camping and backpacking with a little bit of photography thrown in. But this year I've decided to concentrate more on the photography side of things, in particular landscape and woodland. Now, photography gear ain't cheap, as you know, so I've decided for time being I've sold all my wild camping gear off, and I've invested that in a decent tripod, a set of leaf filters, and a good camera, and a good couple of lenses for that. So I'm going to add more lenses as we go on, wide angles and what have you. And I may even return, well I probably will at some later date, return to wild camping, because it gives you the ideal opportunity to spend an extended time on a mountain, so you can catch it through all its moods and lighting conditions. And that's a lot of experience that I picked up from wild camping. I know where there's some really good viewpoints, the character of the mountains, so perhaps I can put that to good use at some point and go back into wild camping and getting there and photographing the mountains. Well, that's enough of me waffling on anyway. I'm just going to give this another 10-15 minutes before I move on and find the next composition. I've come across these few trees, still got the autumn leaves on from last year. It's providing a nice bit of contrast against the bare trees all around, so I'll have a wander around with the phone again, just try and make a composition out of these, and then we'll grab that shot. Right, that's the next composition I've found. Just waiting for some light again on it. Oh, the light periods of light are very brief because it's quite windy today. But that wind also means the branches are moving about quite a bit, so I've had to up the ISO a little bit to compensate, get a higher shutter speed. But it should still handle it. It's a waiting game when it's like this. It's clouding over again now. I think we've got a bit of rain coming in. I've covered up the camera. That cover there is just a Sea to Summit sil nylon stuff sack from my backpacking days. But it's handy to throw over the camera and the filters, and also the cable releases in there, so it'll keep everything dry if we have a downpour. Whilst I'm waiting for another shower to pass over, I've just walked away from where I've got the camera set up. You can just make it out down there. I'm photographing that tree with a bit of last year's autumn colour on it. I'm just walking around here now, and I'll get the phone out and pan round. and then compositions are easier to spot. I'll just show you. Make sure I'm zoomed all the way in, out rather. So if you just pan round, you'll see interesting little compositions, and then you can zoom in. There's one there, that looks a nice shot, and play around with it, get something that you like the look of. Grab the big camera and the tripod, and then come over and work on the finer details. There's one there as well. Branches are leaning over towards that tree with a bit of colour on. Carry on round, and if I zoom in, there's another nice composition there. The branch, I know the sides are untidy, but I think those branches coming from the side are helping to lead into that tree with a bit of colour in the middle. Zoom out. There's Max waiting patiently. I think he's got a thorn in his paw. I have looked, but I couldn't see anything, but I'll have a further look when I get home. I like the shape of that tree there. That looks nice. So this just a case of panning round, finding something that takes his fancy, setting the camera and the tripod up, and then waiting for the light. Raining heavy now. Well, as you can see, it's absolutely chucking down. Just deciding what to do, because behind me there, I don't know if you can make out through the trees, there is actually a little bit of brightness showing through. I'd say at the moment it's quite heavy rain. Well, I'm just going to give it another half hour or so, see if this light comes through. The light that is there is casting this very nice incandescent light all around. So I'm hoping when that stops and we get some brightness, once I've dried the filters off, because top tip, don't leave your camera exposed when it's throwing it down the rain. Cover it up. The camera is usually alright, well this one is because it's weather sealed, but when you've got a polarizer on the front, until your element gets all wet, the polarizer gets wet, so you've got to dry them off before you even take another photo. So yeah, cover your camera up. Right, I got the images I was after, I think. And thanks for coming along on this trip. I know it ain't what you're normally used to seeing, but hopefully you found it interesting. And if any new viewers, in particular anyone who's into landscape or woodland photography is viewing this, if you'd like to comment on any of the images, whether you think they're any good or whether they're not, I welcome some decent feedback anyway. So till my next trip, which hopefully should be this weekend, I'm headed up to get some pictures of Cadair Idris, and there's some nice an old quarry site on the way there, so I'll get some photos of that. So till then, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.